Hi all. So, um, I've had another shitty January. I'm recovering from another bloody horrible cold. Seems to be a running thing with me every January, getting a nasty cold. But I've managed to spend some time in the car the last couple of days, and we have got to the point where we need to prime the oil pump. So, pushed it onto the ramp for the first time. A couple of small and silly jobs need to do. We need, because these joints for the suspensions and bottom wishbones are actually rubberized in here, we need to set the bolts or tighten the bolts up when the car is basically under its own weight. So you can't reach them when you jack it up, but then the tires are down and the wheels are down. Basically, that's not the time to tighten them up. So car's under its own weight now, it's on the lift, so I can basically tighten up the tighten up the four bolts basically for the suspension. So that's good. We got the last AC line in, that's the discharge line from the AC compressor. That's now crimped, just got to make a P-clip for this, easier to do that in place. Next thing to do now, basically, we need to remove, obviously this is the dry sump belt. We need to remove the dry sump belt off of the crank. And then basically what I can do then is drive the oil pump basically off a belt, and I can just put a drill down below it. I'm not going to be able to get it off the crank, but what I can do is I can remove the clamps for the actual pulley on the oil pump itself, and then remove this gear, take the belt off, we'll put the pulley gear back on, tighten it up. We'll then I've got a secondary belt that I can just hang low down here, and I'll just drive it off a drill. And we filled the oil tank up with 10 litres of Joe Gibbs driven breakin oil. Now we basically have all of our oil lines, apart from the two turbos that are on, but they're plugged. And we shall drive the oil pump, and we shall prime the oil pump, which hopefully will have some pressure. Those that don't know, this is the supply from the underneath the car for the two turbos. This is our turbo return drain, easy to see here. So basically they have a return drain from one turbo there and from one turbo here. This is a vent line to the top of the rock cover, and this line here actually comes all the way back to this radium banjo fitting on the dry sump pump here, and actually has an extra scavenge basically to make sure we empty all the oil out of this little tank. So that's the underneath here. One thing I have realized, this is the accessory belt adjuster here. And as much as I can get to, this particular bolt here to undo, the one at the top is going to be kind of awkward. And if we can slide that up there, you can see the one above it is, I can't really quite see with this phone. Okay, the one above it is also an Allen cap bolt. And they're not as easy to get to from the top. So basically I'm going to swap these two bolts out for normal hex heads. The bottom one is easy to get to, but the top one would be a lot easier with a hex head bolt. So basically we're going to swap that one out as well. Basically when the car's on the ramp, then I can adjust the accessory belt from underneath, obviously with this center panel removed. We have our two access panels here. This side really just so I can get to the alternator bolt if I have any trouble, and I should be able to get the alternator out of there if there's any issues. You can see here how close we are to the bottom part of the header there. It is rather close, so that's why we've got extra insulation around that, basically to make damn sure the alternator lives. As you can see kind of up here, we do have the fan. We have the fan for the intercooler right there. So basically what we're going to do is there's two fans on there. That one fan that pumps this way will have that basically as soon as the engine bay temperature gets up to, well, anything more than just normal startup, that fan will kick in and just basically produce a bit of airflow over the alternator to give it a bit of a chance to hopefully live. Yeah, I'm going to have to put a bit more glue on that. Tape keeps coming up. One more thing on the snag list. So yeah, and obviously on this side we have our oil filter. So this access panel under here obviously allows us to get to the oil filter. So try to at least make it so it's serviceable everywhere, but that's not always the case. Got to pull this frame out. I've got a couple of clips to finish off, and then I can put the mount the filter for the gearbox oil. Finally found a place for it, and while that's out, while this frame is out and the pump's out, we can finalize the fitting, because I think the fitting for the clutch slave, where are we? There we go. That's not tight yet, so we need to tighten that up. Then we can fill the gearbox with oil. We can prime the oil pump on the gearbox and make sure we've got no leaks on there. So I'll go through the whole systems. Oil in the engine first, then oil in the gearbox. And then we will connect the rest of the water pipes, which at the moment aren't in. But effectively, I wanted to make sure I had no oil leaks first and everything was okay down here before I put the water pipes in. And then we'll check the water. And then after that, we'll check the charge coolers. So you can see the kind of little mini diffusers at the front now. So they're in. Still have some various silly little bits and pieces of jobs to do, but it's nice to actually get it on the full post lift and up in the air. So I'm not struggling underneath the car all the time. So but yeah, I'm pretty happy now with all the bits and pieces that that I needed to do to finalize the car and get it ready. Get it ready for my tuner to come round and help me start setting up the M-Tron. We have picked who is gonna do it, and he's quite happy to come round and help set the car up, get it cranking, and probably get the first start in the garage here. We'll set the timing light just to make sure we've got top dead center program right in the ECU, and once we've done that, we'll kill it. Make sure we've got no more leaks, but I can eliminate most of the leaks apart from any heat cycling, which I can't really do too much to. I can heat the rig up here. So we do now have a block heater, so I've got 110 volt connector here. So I can electrically at least warm the block up. We have another 110 volt electrical outlet on the other side, which is basically the heater for the oil. Is that side on? Oh no, it's all side pods on, isn't it? Da, 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 da. Yeah, side pods on, you can't see that. But yeah, it's nice to see it. That's when the panel's on, it'll sit more like that. But yeah, it's good to get underneath it. Cross off a few more silly little items. Add a few more items to the list that I didn't realise. P-clip for that AC line being one of them. But yeah, it's not far off now. Hopefully by the end of February, I should finish off the last little bit of programming that I can do. And then we're going to get Evan out, the ECU programmer, and he'll help start setting up the ECU for us. And then with hopefully before March would be nice. We'll get it to his shop. Got to do a four-wheel alignment. I've never really put the string lines back down in it. Do a four-wheel alignment to make sure everything's square. When we powder coated everything, I've just put it all back on, so theoretically it needs a bit of a tweak here and there. Then we'll take it to Evan's shop and we'll have the base map done. So he's going to get the engine break-in procedure done. So we've now filled it with this driven, so it's a Joe Gibbs racing oil, but it's a specific motor break-in oil. And then once we've broken the motor in, we've dumped the oil, we'll then run the fully synthetic 5W30. This is specifically designed, formulated for high output GM LS engines, which is kind of handy because that's kind of what we got. So, gotta say, we've got to pop to Porsche next week, pick up the gearbox oil. Pretty hard to get hold of that particular stuff. I think it's Mobil 1 PTX 7590. It's something that was Mobil specifically developed for like G50 style transmissions. So you can't get it anywhere else, basically, other than a Porsche dealer in town, unless you order it direct from the States, but then that becomes a bit of a pain. So yeah, that's where we are. There's not a huge amount of, stupid progress, but I can't remember the last time that I mentioned we've cut the fuel flap out there, but that's all. We've printed the hinge, we've got the catch, so I'll make a little catch tray for where the filler goes into the car. So basically when the rear end's shut, basically it's got a little tray to catch any overspill and then a drain. So, but yeah, there we go. Interesting to see it on the lift, and sort of interesting to see just underneath it for once. So it's a kind of a unique view. It's not that I normally get to see, but there you go. Anyway, update when I make some more progress. Speak to you all soon.